Thank you everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and what great performances we've seen. And thank you to all the activists who are here. I've been teaching vegan nutrition and fitness for over 35 years, and I've worked with a lot of different clients, and my favorite clients to work with are activists because they're doing such amazing work. The challenge with activists is many times they don't cultivate that self-love and compassion for themselves. They extend it to every other being, but they don't extend it to themselves. And many of us are familiar with the term Ahimsa, which really means reverence for all life and all beings. Well, it's important for activists to know that we're also part of that spectrum. So we also deserve love and care too. And activists can only do good in the world if they're healthy and fit, because when you're young, you can take a lot of abuse in terms of no sleep and not eating properly and using drugs and things, but as you get older, that catches up to you. So if you want to be an effective activist as you age, it's important that you do some self-care. So I want to just go over some important components that I've seen working with young activists and older activists, what happens. First of all, it's so important from a self-care standpoint that we make sure that from a diet, we're eating a whole foods, plant-based diet. We can include some processed foods, but we really need to focus on whole foods and fresh foods. So lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, whole grains, beans, peas, and lentils. The easiest thing for activists to do is to just make a smoothie every morning. If you're using some organic berries and a non-dairy milk and then some vegetables in there and maybe some chia or flaxseed, that's an easy way that in the morning you can check that off that you've got a good serving of fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds in for the day. If you want to, I would avoid doing your very best to avoid putting in, sugar-laden drinks or juices or any sort of oil in there. If you could just use whole foods like whole nuts or seeds, not necessarily adding flax oil or olive oil, because that's refined. So when you take an olive and you squeeze it, you're getting out the fat, but you're leaving phytochemicals behind and you're leaving all the fiber. So let's try to leave in whole foods in that smoothie. And you can do 1 to 2 smoothies a day if you want, or you could do a smoothie and you can do a blended soup then, which is just blended greens and a liquid. You could use coconut milk or something like that. But you need to be condensing massive amounts of fruits and vegetables in your diet because those are protective. If you think of your brain as being assaulted all day long by free radicals, the antioxidants are the bodyguards that protect that tissue from prematurely aging. Now, from a dietary standpoint, it's important that activists get enough sleep. We know that there's a part of the brain system called the lymphatic system, which is similar to the lymphatic system. But when you go to sleep at night, those neurons shrink almost 50%, and it leaves more space in the cerebral spinal fluid that your brain is floating in, like a hose washes out that space, and that's where beta-amyloid plaque builds up, which is linked to Alzheimer's disease. Now, many activists don't get enough sleep. So it's important that you do good sleep hygiene and you try your very best to get 7 hours of sleep or maybe a little bit more. The more you exercise, the more stressed you are, the more sleep you need. But you don't want to be the activist that burns the candle at both ends and isn't getting adequate sleep because it's very detrimental to your brain and you don't get enough rest and recovery. Make sure you're getting enough movement in throughout the day. You don't have to work out per se, but you need to get some sort of aerobic activity in. There's something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor that's secreted from the brain, and it's like miracle grow for the brain that allows the brain to grow, the neurons, the cells, and to communicate. And that's activated when you're doing some sort of aerobic activity. So aim for 15 to 20 minutes of some sort of aerobic activity. Do some sort of strength training, whether it's body weight or exercise bands or weights, to keep strong and fit, because osteoporosis you think is an old person's disease, but osteopenia isn't. And osteopenia is the precursor to osteoporosis. And we don't know when you have osteopenia unless you're getting like a DEXA scan. And so if you're eating a lot of processed foods and you're sitting down and you're being an armchair activist, that's wonderful that you're an activist, but you need to get some physical activity for your bones. Exercise is also important for the immune system. So the more that you move, the more you move lymphatic fluid throughout the blood vessel or the lymph vessels. And that's kind of like the body's immune system, the paramedics, the police department. So get some movement in every day. And be very careful about your mental attitude. We are always watching social media, we're listening to the news, and that's programming your brain 24 hours a day, and most of it is negative. It's sensationalized, and it's there to induce a reaction, and you get a dopamine blast from that. and you can actually become addicted to it. So be very careful about the energies that you're allowing into your fertile garden, because those are like seeds. They get planted and they start to grow. Use words that are kind. Use words that are loving. Get rid of the words, the H-A-T-E. You know, I don't even want to say the word, so I spell it out. You don't need those words in your life. You don't need anything negative. We're working in a career or a field that we're exposed to that 24 hours a day. So when we're around people, we should be having words of love and compassion. And at the end of the night, it's important that you take time for yourself and remind yourself that you deserve love and care just like the animals on the planet, and you need to start giving that to yourself. My motto has always been think good thoughts and do good deeds. So it's not enough to just think the thoughts, then you have to do good deeds. And as Mother Teresa said, the smallest deed done is far greater than the largest intention. So even if you're going on Craigslist that night and you're flagging the breeders, and once they get 3 flags, they're gone, they're done. Fantastic. That might be all you can do. Or if you have money, you can donate money. Or you can take pamphlets. When I fly, I just take pamphlets with me and I leave them in where I'm sitting at the airport, or if I'm going to be in an Uber or whatever. That's armchair activism. That's a way to do activism that doesn't cause a lot of stress. So don't beat yourself up over it. Just try to constantly become a beacon of light and love and do good. Just remember, the most important thing is that Ahimsa, compassion and reverence for all beings, includes you. So just like you go rescue other animals and help people, you have to have that rescue and that love for yourself. So thank you very much for letting me be here. We'll post some contact information if you want. I have some different videos and things you can watch. And then the organization that I co-founded is livingwithharmony.org. And you can check out our site. You can download our free planet-based living guideline. So thanks for having me.